Hello. Can you hear
Hi,
me?
Vern.
Hey, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Very, very good. Thanks. Lovely to see you.
And you, long time no
I
speak.
know there's a lot going on. A lot going on. Yeah, it's really
Yeah,
good to see you. It's like nice to when when you kind of sent the message. It was I don't know. It was just perfect timing just to kind of start spreading out a little bit. So thank you for
yeah,
doing that.
yeah. Oh, no worries. I'm just so interested to hear about your journey because the last time I spoke to you, Vern, you were really, really going through it and we're in a difficult place. So
Mm.
I'm so thrilled for you that you've moved beyond that and I mean, you look like a different person. You look
I
so
am.
lighter. It's,
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
there's I basically last March, so nearly a year ago, I was living on the boats, and we moved off of
yeah,
them about a month ago. But anyway, I was just laying on the sofa meditating, and Sarah was next to me, and she was reading or whatever. And all of a sudden, I had this crazy, this energy go through me, like as if the way I described it before is as though got like my fingers in plug sockets, both sides, like my entire body was just like that, and I couldn't move for about 10 seconds, and I thought I was dying. I didn't know what was it. Was such a physically restraining energy, whatever was happening, right?
right.
And I don't know, didn't know any of this spiritual stuff really, right? I've had to work out what happened to me. And what happened to me is what people call enlightenment or awakening. Because since that day, I don't have any thoughts. It's just pure silence. I can think and remember and do and study and read all the things I've never, ever, ever been able to do. Bang, I can do.
Oh,
It's mental, mate.
what happened? Have you ever read? You must have read. Is it The Power of Now?
Yeah, by
Eckhart
Eckhart,
Tolle?
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
it
So
sounds similar
I
kind of
reverse
that.
engineered that process to find him, and
Yeah.
going deeper and deeper. Once I started to understand how humans have understood this, um, it's led me. What's happened is my mind has gone into something, or it's gone into a non-dual, what's called a non-duality or a non-dualistic mode. So it sounds so nuts. What that means to a human like you, and you'll get why I'm talking like this in a minute, it's bonkers, is that whilst you think you're there and you're a me or an I in your body, pressing buttons and pulling levers and making decisions and in control of stuff, I don't have a reference point. I don't have a person to. So, stuff still happens and pain happens and fear and grief happens, but it's like it's not happening to anyone. I'm aware of it,
Yeah.
but it's just what's happening
It's just what's
because of
happening.
my
Yeah.
past, because of my
Yeah.
past, and that's it. And I've worked. I realised down this non-duality route, which is now what I teach people to heal. It basically silences the mind, and I'll show you in a minute. It's pretty cool if you want to. Um, it enables by teaching it, Debbie, every day, it makes me have to walk the walk every day. I don't have a choice
Yeah.
because I'm still aware of everything that was always ever happening because I'm still the same body.
Yeah.
I've had the same experiences. Nothing's changed except for whatever that was. It was like so from what I understand it, this is really dumbing it down, up to about the age of 18 months to 2 years old, we're empty. We don't have thoughts. We don't have an identity or a name that we respond to and instructions, and we don't have to conform, and there's no expectations. We have to maintain anything.
Yeah.
And then as we go through life like that, we have these experiences, okay, which is basically something that we wrap in time that we then lodge in our memory and we consider that as our life, right? And tons of them, and that's our life. The message coming from here is that that is a fabrication, that's an illusion, because all there is what is now in this instant, in this directness, in this moment. Nothing exists outside of this instant, what is, and thoughts don't carry anything. They're just your conditioning.
Yeah.
All right. So for people with really, this may not have such a profound impact on you physiologically because you don't need to do anything. The words just do something when you try to go there in your mind. So knowing that obviously before humans there was no language, so all language we made up, right, to communicate. It's beautiful, right? We communicate and we can learn and teach and all of that, right? But all of these words that are made up means really that we don't know what anything is because we made it all up. Like if you visualize a beautiful tree, a huge tree, both still and moving at the same time, right? That tree, you just learn to call that thing a tree based on your past, right? So without a past or a future, what are you looking at?
Nothing.
That's right.
No.
That's right. So without language, what are you? And watch what happens in the mind and the body. You don't have to speak if it's empty. Without language, what are you?
There's nothing.
It's beautiful, isn't it? Isn't it? Calm and still. And that's just words. What's between nothing and not nothing?
Now you're blowing my mind.
Just be patient. That's the ego. That's the mind going, oh, sod this. I don't like this. Because it only knows knowing, and this is unknowing. It's the death of it. It's the death of the identity. So what I've had to do is reverse engineer that ego death that I experienced whilst meditating. Yeah, that complete dropping away of that contracted energy that you have from the age of 2 years old, where you're a person and you think you're in there, the center of the universe, pressing buttons and pulling levers and making decisions and controlling the world. And we can't have 8.3 billion people at the center of the universe controlling the world. That's why we have absolute anarchy, and it's beautiful. It's just what's happening. Not because it's linked to a timeline, because before language and humans, there was no time either. That's like language, it's just another concept, time, and it kills us. So we live our entire lives restricted by time, by distance, and by language, and none of it's real. And people will look, so if there's no past that's real, and there's no future that's real, there's just this instant that's real, isn't it? In this directness.
Yeah.
So without a past and without a future, this must be it.
Yeah. Very powerful.
For nobody, because the Debbie that you believe yourself to be and the life that you believe yourself to have, outside of the directness of this instant, where there's just stillness and silence permanently, it's all just thoughts. There's no life, it's just thoughts. There's just this. This is life, this aliveness, this directness. And everybody is trying so hard to look for this, they can't see it because it's so nuanced and subtle. And it's all done. It's done already. It never moves. It never goes. It never comes. It never wins, loses. It's never right or it's never wrong. But it's all of that because it's this.
Yeah.
And feel without language, just feel what that's doing in your body without you doing anything. Just connect with the inner sensations without language, without a past and a future. Now, without a past and a future, what are sensations?
They're not really anything either.
No, they're thoughts. They're a reaction to a feeling because no one's touching you. So your body reacts chemically, emotionally, whatever, just contracted energy again. And in our humanistic dream world, we believe those feelings to be happening to me for a reason, and they're either good or bad. When what's actually occurring in the directness outside of the stories is nothing. It's just being a human, There is feeling happening, like there's seeing happening, there's hearing happening, there's smelling and tasting happening. That's all that's happening for no reason, to nobody, based on the combined sum of your lived experiences. Because all you know is the combined sum of your lived experiences. You don't know this. You don't know anything other than the fact that you believe you're a wave, that you don't understand that you're the entire ocean.
Oh, I like that. That's a beautiful thing to say.
Yeah, it's just like
Can I just? I know this is like
no,
really
that's cool.
boring,
That's cool.
but I need to put a log on my fire. It's cold in here. The benefits of living in a house that's 250 years old.
Beautiful, beautiful. But there's no time, is it? It just is. That's a
Yeah.
concept we've made up. We've basically spun round the sun 250 times. That's all that's happened, right? And it's not even we. This speck of dust 93 million miles away from our nearest star has, it's bent bonkers. And now a few minutes ago, you kind of touched on direct experience, on the isness of this moment, without a past and a future. What do you believe?
Nothing.
That's right. There's nothing happening ever. There's nothing ever happening outside of the thoughts and the drama that you create from your believing your thoughts are real and you've got to do something with them. When in this directness, if you take a nice deep slow breath behind your belly button, feel the seat pushing in your bum and your back and the floor pushing in your feet, slow breath out. And in this direct instance, what's between doing and not doing?
Nothing.
That's right. And in that nothingness, is everything okay? Is anything missing?
Yeah.
Is there a problem?
No.
Because nothing's happening ever. And people don't even know this. It's insane. They're chasing the next. Find me a next that's real.
Yeah. So when this happened to you, Vern, after you had that moment, what then happened in your life? I mean, like shrugging off all of that weight of everything. How have the people around you
But what it's actually
found
done,
this?
what it's done is it's made me, a word, but more peopleable. It's actually enabled me to shut up, to stop judging, to stop preempting, because none of that happens anymore. Because the future doesn't exist for me, because there's not a me, because there isn't a contracted energy. So there's just human body and human body, like there's dog body and bird body. And trying to get every dog and bird to think the same, speak the same, work the same, eat the same, take the same medication, call everything the same, when before humans there wasn't even places. Places are just made up. Someone drew lines on that globe and slapped labels on it.
Yeah.
Nothing is actually as people see it. And people like me have always seen that and not understood why life has to be lived like it is, which is why I've never been able to conform. I've always been naughty because I've always seen through it. And what can happen in terms of what I found out is and this is reflected in the people I work with now. It just happens. You hit such a low that you don't want to be here anymore. Or at least you're not bothered if you're not here anymore. You're not looking to not be here, but you're in that place potentially.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so therefore you're prepared to let go of everything you believed in and thought you ever was without knowing. This is obviously what I've learned. Yeah. So what I just talked you into knowing now, which is there is nothing to believe and nothing to learn and nowhere to go because there's not a you. Yeah. That's not me training you. That was an experiential thing for you. You didn't learn that. That was just a stillness and a silence that, you know, even in the noise that you can hear now, you can hear the silence between my words, you can hear the silence under my words. All of the noise, you can still hear that the noise is occurring in the silence when you're connected to this instant, which
Yeah.
makes you immune to anything, because there's nothing happening outside of what people believe's happening in their head is real. And none of it is, because it's all in their heads, and none of it is happening. And the reason the mind goes silent is because the mind can't go here. The mind has to grab an opposite. It has to be a good or a bad. It can't go to what's between bad and not bad, which is the same as what's between bad and good. But it can't do it because words don't make sense. They just don't make sense, really, when you unlearn them. So in total stillness, in this directness, look above your screen at something, look around your room, but really slowly, without language and without a past and a future, unlabeling what is being seen. Unlabel what is being seen.
Nothing.
That's right. It's beautiful, isn't it? Isn't it calming
It's
and
incredibly
still?
calming. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing to do. That's the body. Because what happens, Deb, excuse me, what happens, Debbie, is the body is obviously physically in this dimension. It's here and now, right? As Eckhart says, right? As he preaches. So whatever you're doing in your head is irrelevant to the body, because the body can't come with you when you go in your thoughts. It's here, right? So a lot of people that with ADHD and neurodivergent struggle to, I'm sure you'll see it every day or hear it every day. Your clients will tell you, I know I need to do stuff, I just can't start. Yeah,
Mm.
I got all this lost. I know, and I want to do it, but I don't know why I can't start it. It's because they're living in the past and the future, and their body's in the now, right? So they've got these beautiful, great ideas that aren't happening in reality. And then they throw one of these beautiful ideas to the body, and they go to the body, oh, can you do this, 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 and this? And the body goes, well, here, there's nothing happening. No, because nothing happening, it's not required. I'm not unsafe. I don't need to reproduce. I don't need to find food. I don't need to keep warm. I'm fine, thank you. And you can throw as many words and beliefs and thoughts and concepts at it as you want. Unless it needs to do it, it doesn't happen. Nobody is choosing anything outside of the drama of the stories of my life. There's nothing to choose. In the directness, in this instance, Debbie, is there any choice? If you make any choice in your mind, does it change anything in and around you? In this, nothing ever does outside of the story that you believe, because you project it into the future and then you go for it, and the ego thinks, oh, I worked all that out, I'm so clever. And it self-reinforces the paradox of nothing's happening, everybody seeking for something is not this, and there's only one this, which is why nobody's happy, which is why there's anarchy, which is why there's war, which is why there's crazy politics, crazy religion, crazy education, crazy food, crazy chemicals in the air, crazy pharmaceuticals given to everybody. And we wonder why what is occurring. Not for any reason. That's just the sum of 8.3 billion unconscious dreamers believing that they can do something with this instead of just enjoy it without maintaining anything, without ruining it, and realizing that as allegedly the smartest species on the planet, we are the only species on the planet that in the last 100 years has killed over 100 million of itself. That's how asleep we are, because there ain't nothing happening, and no one's trying to kill anyone outside of their thoughts and beliefs and words and concepts and religions. It's just conditioning. It's nobody's fault. It's just what's happening. It's always been like it. There's no stories.
How do you find existing in the world? I'm really curious about, have you lost friends over this, or
Not
what
lost, not
colleagues,
lost.
or what's
I
changed?
haven't lost friends as in fallen out with friends.
Yeah.
I've lost friends in the human concept of I spend time socializing with other people. Nobody cares about you or me apart from you. You don't care about anyone else apart from you. You're always going to put you first, no matter what happens, because it's not you deciding that stuff. When you trip and fall in front of the bus, it ain't you going out the way as quick as you can. It just happens. So this message suggests everything is that, because there's nothing happening.
Right.
It isn't ever, Debbie. And this is called enlightenment because it shines a light on everything that already is. And it's awakening because it's, oh my God, of course, it's this. There's nothing, there's no next. There's nothing to achieve or maintain or win or fight. It's just, that's just crippling yourself because it's only happening in your mind. It's not actually happening. It's not becoming, moving, leaving, going. Nothing is. It's just this all the time. And it's whole, perfect, and complete. It's the freedom from all ideas of what freedom should be. And it's as though you've been searching for paradise all your life, not without realizing that you've always been in it.
Been in
And
it, yeah.
you're not separate from it. You're not a thing separate from what is. You are what is.
Yeah.
And you've learned to call it a body, a human, a woman. You've learned to call it a tree. You've learned to call it a dog. Does DOG accurately tell you what that thing is? What is a DOG, man? Look at it. What is it without language? Look at it without
Yeah,
language.
I've got one laying on the floor, right? Yeah.
Honestly, like, so unlabel it and just see how that feels without words.
Just a body.
Isn't it beautiful?
Yeah.
Without a purpose, without a reason, without making choices. Why do you think that body is different from that body, even though it's a different form, of course, and metabolically? But in terms of what there is on this speck of dust spinning around 93 million miles away from the nearest star, why is you got a life and that doesn't? Why is that thing's life what you give it? That's just a story that you give it.
Mm.
You know, if you didn't call it what you called it and you didn't know it, you wouldn't feel like you felt towards it. You've created an identity around it as my dog, because I'm a me and I matter and I have responsibility and got to look after it. That it would love nothing better than you to fuck off and just let it have a great time. Like you with most people, just have a great time without people's drama, which is going on in their heads and not, because when you're in the same, like imagine we're in the same room, right? But we've got two different lives. Our heads are in completely different places, aren't they? In that moment. But in that instant, what's different? What's separate? What's right or wrong? What's actually happening? And without language, why is it called a room? Do you know what I mean? It's the whole thing is just a farce. And a lot of neurodivergent people, so OCD, ADD, ADHD, some lightly on the autism spectrum, PTSD, all these things where they're reliving their thoughts round and round and round and round and round, and they can't find peace unless they adhere to them. What this does is it kind of puts slices in that continuous loop so it doesn't get more and more and more and more and more and more energy. It kind of goes, do you know what I mean? And over time, because we stop feeding those stories, those thoughts, the ego stops giving them to us because we don't start creating these make-believe thought trains and adding to the thoughts that do arise.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing happening outside of this directness, this instant, what we can see, smell, feel, taste, and hear. And any thought is a reaction to one of those five senses. That's it. One of those five senses or another thought. But you can, in stillness, without words, I want you to take a breath into your lower abdomen. Breathe out as slow as you can. And watch your thoughts without adding. Watch your thoughts without adding. Watch your thoughts. Don't push them. Don't pull them. Watch them like the clouds. Let them float in, float out, and they'll just dissolve to nothingness. And in this openness, go and look between what's between thoughts and no thoughts and let that flush through you. Beautiful. It's cool, isn't it? It's
It is
bonkers, but it's
really
cool.
cool. Okay, so this is your
Mm.
work now that you
Yeah,
work with
yeah,
people to help
yeah.
them.
It appears so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
amazing.
I don't hardly ever charge anybody. I just launched my YouTube channel a couple of weeks ago, and I've got like over 10,000 views in the first week. It's
That is
bonkers.
fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. This
People
is really
need
rare.
to
This
hear
is
this.
less than 0. What? Less than 0. I don't know if there's 6 or 7 zeros. 1% of humans don't have to try to do this, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Just are it, or know they're it, or know they're not their thoughts, or the thoughts are just stopped. That's really what it is. The thoughts just stop because you haven't believed them for so long. Uh,
yeah,
What happens, Debbie, is words create beliefs, and beliefs
yeah,
create more beliefs. And that
mm,
little bundle of Debbie is purely a bundle of Debbie beliefs and thoughts. That's all it is.
yeah.
When we are asleep, dreaming, when we dream, what is that? What actually happens when we dream?
I have no idea about dreams.
Okay, but common sense, how we would normally describe it, it's like thoughts and feelings, isn't it? Really, it's like
Yeah,
things we think of, or pictures we see, and things we feel when we're
yeah,
asleep, and then remember when we're awake. Or if we're lucid dreaming, we feel it on the fly, kind of in real time.
yeah, yeah.
So if dreaming is thoughts and feelings, what is awakeness?
The same?
Why would it be any different? You've learned that it's different, and it ain't different. There's nothing happening, changing, going on ever.
No.
Whether you sleep or awake, there's just what is for no reason.
So I'm sorry, I've got another log on fire and then I've got another question.
Please,
Sorry.
whatever, as long as you want, darling. And it's good that you interrupt because it just goes on and on.
So what I'm really interested in, this is my ego here, isn't it? I'm just really interested. Was there so you had your moment, was there then a part of you that was then resisting this? Have you
No,
had any challenges where
it took me a few days to realize I didn't have any thoughts, because normally after
oh,
meditation,
I
I don't have any
see.
thoughts.
Right.
And then I was finding myself, I was in situations expecting these things to come inside of me. You know exactly what I mean. You
Yeah,
get like
yeah,
the early warning sign, don't you? If
yeah,
something's
yeah.
coming. And none of that was happening. And when it did happen, the body didn't go, it just went,
Right.
carried on as if a
Just
bird was
thought.
flying past.
Yeah, just
And
thoughts.
even now, things like I'll turn round and like yesterday, Debbie, a cupboard door was open and I didn't know. And it was right there when I turned round. And I saw it in the corner of my eye. I was walking at the same time. So I was going towards it. I didn't see it till there. And I literally, instantly, my body just went like that. And I just carried on. I didn't go, oh, fuck me, that was lucky. Oh my God, I nearly lost my eye. Yes, guess what? I didn't do all of that. I didn't do all of that. None of that happened for some reason. Like it has done for 50 years. It stopped happening. But I
So
still have
amazing.
everything else. I have all of, well, I tell you what I do have that's changed. I have all of my memories back. I have all of my recall back. I have no anxiety ever. I have no fear ever. I have no pain ever. I mean, I'm riddled with pain, as you would know it. But without a past and a future, what is pain?
Nothing.
That's right. It's just a sensation. It's what's happening in the instant. This doesn't have a tail to it. There's no story or experience or time to it.
Just
That's
is.
just the story. Exactly. Like that sensation just is on my arm or on the arm. Yeah. Because of what I've put this body through and put in this body over the last 51 years, these are the feelings that a human feels for no reason in this moment. The reasons aren't because of this. The reasons are
Yeah.
from past is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's still only this is. It's the same isness.
Yeah.
That
I
I
get
that,
that.
that, that yeah, it's kind of not a separate experience. There's no experience because there's no time. Experience has to have a beginning and an end. That's just you wrapping something that you love to project it into the future so that you can either avoid it or keep it. That's it, because you liked it or didn't like it. That's all that's happening with all humans. And all the stories are based around those two things. Everything else just happens because you need to recreate, eat, keep safe, and we're empaths. So we like to love.
We
And
do.
that's it. That's all that is going on without a story.
It's fabulous. Are you still doing have you still got your IT company, or
I
is that
do, yeah, but it
is,
doesn't. I don't take on any new clients. I got rid of. I took from 2 years ago when it was all huge and VAT registered and full on. I've trimmed it down. I've now not VAT registered. I've now only got about half a dozen clients, and they're all like passive clients, if you know what I mean. They're maintenance stuff.
Mhm.
So it's stuff that I've written in the past, bespoke, that no one else knows about, and I just keep my eye on it for them. Yeah,
Right. And how's your family feel about this like new peaceful version? This has it
yeah,
been okay for them?
yeah. The entire family has learned that none of us are responsible for each other's or anybody else's happiness or comfort.
Yeah.
So everybody has stepped up. Like for me, the way if I'm talking to you as a client, I'd say in this directness, blah blah blah. You're gonna now you see and feel the isness, the direct experience. That's the truth. That's
Yeah.
you stepping up for the final time out of your little girl femininity into your woman femininity, without a story, without a life, without a past, just owning everything that was, knowing that you can only do something in this instant and everything else is a thought. Then it makes no difference.
Yeah.
So what it does is it leads to a completely spontaneous life without planning. And because there's no planning, there's no expectations, there's no disappointment, guilt, or fear. It's just what happens. And yes, we have to go back into the matrix and play the game occasionally, and in the system. But it's literally playing with it.
Yeah.
I'm out. I am out. I don't owe anyone anything. I've got a property, and I'm safe and warm. We're living with my wife, which is all on one level, which is perfect for this body. It's got a hot tub out there, which helps this body. It's led me to all the things that this body needs,
Yeah.
not the £1 million house and the four cars and the being in the city and working in the investment banking industry and designing all the data centers and being the one in the family that everyone adores and thinks is clever. I don't know anything. It's all made up.
Yeah.
I don't have anything that doesn't have. Does
Yeah.
it? Is it? At all, apart from different stories, because
Yeah.
it's the same isness.
Absolutely.
Uh,
It's so great.
Stunning, isn't it?
It is amazing. It's wonderful actually
Because it
because
doesn't calm Debbie. What happens is the subconscious realizes its truth without without the mind. That's why the mind went blank in a lot of that stuff when I asked you weird stuff by design. And in that blankness, there's a resonance that nothing is actually the best thing. It's so calm and peaceful, and it feels like home. It feels like when you was in the womb. It feels like when you didn't have responsibilities when you was 18 months old. It feels free. It feels joyful. It feels playful. I see the world as a playground. I take nothing seriously, nothing, because nothing is serious ever. And I can do that now without being a boy. I can be a man with that and do it gracefully and respectfully. I can say no gracefully. Um, I can now listen and connect with myself at all times because that's where I live, as opposed to in the stories. So my body stopped getting hurt.
oh,
Yeah, yeah, it's mad. That all without any medication, all through transcendental work.
I mean, for me, that's the most astonishing part of all of this because I
Mm.
remember, I think you'd had an operation on your arm and it hadn't gone
That's what
well,
I'm
and
having a
you were
physio
in
for this afternoon.
agony,
Yeah.
and they had you on all those drugs,
Mm.
and it
I was on
was
over
awful.
3,000 tablets a year, opioids, Valium, sleeping tablets, gut tablets, nerve tablets. And in those 16 years, I was in bed. Towards the end of it was the BNI time where I met you.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
In those 16 years, I had over 50,000 tablets, plus whatever they pumped into me in about 40 surgeries. No wonder like the body was
Yeah,
doing what it was
yeah,
doing, and the mind was doing what it was doing. It didn't know what it was doing. It was
yeah, all
just trying to
those
survive.
chemicals.
That's right. I was just toxic. And amongst all that, Debbie, I didn't know that I shouldn't just be feeding myself Maltesers and white bread. Because it
Yeah,
was
that's never
awesome.
going to be
It made
good.
me awesome.
Maltesers and white bread. God, what a combination.
I know. And that's why I went a little bit loopy.
That's hilarious.
I know. I know. And it is what it is because it ain't this, is it? So it's cool.
No, no, it's fine.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course it is. Of course it is. And everything is already fine because it is what it is. It's done.
yeah,
You know.
exactly.
And I struggle to just struggle to communicate because I don't hardly ever agree with what people are saying.
Really. So how do
Yeah,
you, and what do you just,
just
do you just like,
silence. No
yeah,
words. No words equals no beliefs equals no stories. I can see they're in a story. I don't need to create my own thought train and add to my own non-existent story and end up back where I was. I can see that I can have empathy for, I can
mm,
still love, how I feel now, this permanent just is isn't contingent on anything or anyone doing that back to me, not even my wife. Because what's a marriage? What's relationship? What's between
yeah,
relationship and no relationship? It's
nothing,
like a
because it's a
prison in our head.
construct. Yeah, it's a
Exactly. It's just
construct. Yeah,
exactly that. Exactly. So, yeah, you can cohabit and be respectful, but you don't have to make it a thing that it's not and build all these prisons made out of beliefs and concepts, which becomes Debbie. And then you
yeah,
spend your entire life behind that mask, having to maintain that identity, not even knowing why you're doing it, not knowing that within 3 seconds, you can just go bang for no
yeah,
reason, for no reason.
yeah. One of the things when I work with my clients, I talk about how it's possible to create universes of
Yep,
agony and
yep,
worry and anxiety in your mind,
of
when
course.
all that's actually happening is you
Mm.
are just sat in a chair in a room.
Yeah,
Nothing is actually happening, but
that's
you're
right.
creating this, and then you have that effect on your body, which
Yeah.
then, goes into fight,
If
flight,
if
freeze
if
mode.
you've got someone you've had for a long time that you can't snap out of that,
Yeah,
invite them for free, invite them for me to sit with you and just ask them a few of those questions.
yeah,
Then I'll basically, it's like a kill switch for the mind. It'd just be a beautiful experiment for then you to go, then speak your stuff, as opposed to try and get them quiet, try and get them to believe that they don't need to have a busy mind. You can make them go bang in 3 seconds
yeah,
and it's over. It's the end of suffering.
yeah. Well, maybe I'll get you to speak to John.
Without a past and a future, what is suffering?
Nothing.
No. What is between fear and fearless?
Nothing.
That's right. It's stunning, isn't it? It's so simple.
Vern, I've got to ask you, Donald Trump and what is going on in the world right now.
Hmm.
What, when you come across a person like Donald Trump,
Yep.
where does he fit into all of this? Is this him holding on to all of his past stories and this future that there's a part of me, and I'm not a religious person, as in the traditional religions, but there is a part of me that's like, I know these are stories and these are constructs, but I feel like there is something really bad on the earth right now,
Mm.
and it feels like it's him. And I keep having this story coming
Mm.
up. This guy I used to know was a Christadelphian,
Ah,
and Christadelphians are Christians who absolutely believe in the scriptures, that
okay.
the word of God, of
Yeah.
Christ,
Yeah.
that is how they live their lives according to the. And he said to me that there was this thing that had been written about in 2000 years, like what's supposed to happen now, 2000 years
Hmm.
after Christ, that this red, and he specifically said it was a red, like war or something that was going to spread from east to west. And he always talked about it in terms of it being Russia or China. And I've just got this thing in my head at the moment because of the Republicans being red.
Mm.
Is it, just I can't help connecting that story
Yeah,
with
yeah,
what's
yeah.
going on in America right now. And
Okay,
I just
let me just
wondered
stop there.
what your
Let,
thoughts are on it.
let me
Well,
show you.
not thoughts.
Let me show you exactly my thoughts. Right, in this directness, in this instant, in what you just, the words, the language you just shared with me. I want you to go and look for the I that you are referring to.
Hmm.
Is it real, or is the I, the I am a
No,
thought? Is the me a thought as well? Is it the mind, the ego thinking it's trying to work this out to be
trying to work it
safe?
out.
And it can change what the body has to do in order to feel better. When all there is, this is the teaching, Debbie. This is it. That, what you are aware of, isn't it? It's happened. If you're aware of it, it's already happened. It's not the isness, it's the story. Even if it was a second ago, it's a story. And just feel what you feel when the orange man Trump is a president. And that's just what you're feeling as a human. Now, remove the language from that sensation. What's happening?
Nothing.
Right. And that's what happens here
Yeah.
to nobody for no reason ever. Because all of that that's happening over there, that east to west thing, that story, yeah, you don't know where the guy was. East may have been Russia. East may have been America. East may have been China. There's no places. It's all made up. It's all
Yeah.
stories.
Yeah.
It's all empty words. Any teacher, any religious teacher, any guru, any yogi, they're selling you empty words. They're selling you a next that doesn't exist. They're selling you something that they have that you don't, and that's bollocks. They have nothing because they are a nobody, just like that body is a nobody.
Yeah.
The same. Outside of this, everything else is a story because no one has ever found that next, have they? That the yogis have been talking about for millennia, ever, ever, ever. But you have in 3 seconds.
Yeah.
All right. It's
Yeah.
it's it, it's uncompromising. It's sobering. It's truthness. It's direct. It's always this. It's always perfect. It's always whole. It's always complete. And it's all done for no one.
The meditation that you were doing
Back then, you mean?
back then, when you had your moment, was that just you, or were you doing a guided meditation? Was it a series of something you'd been doing? Can you
I
remember?
can't remember. I can't remember. I don't generally listen to anything when I meditate. I
Right.
just go into nothingness.
Yeah.
It's the most unbelievable. I tell you, the only thing what it's like, Debbie, is when I've been blasted in Holland on psilocybin in the past.
Right.
It's like just a complete stillness all the time. No matter
Yeah.
what's actually going on, there's just permanent that what you're feeling when you go and look between bad and not bad all the time?
Yeah.
And what we actually realize is all of these thoughts and beliefs and concepts and frameworks and laws and constructs that we all have to conform and adhere to is actually the things that is what's causing us to want to seek for something other than what is,
Yeah.
because how we're having to live is so unnatural, in terms of conforming, in terms of being told what you're allowed to think and crazy shit like that, right?
Yeah.
Just completely against human nature. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong, if your conditioning tells you it's right and wrong. It's neither of those. It just is. It just is fucking stupid because it's just made up words and it's just stories in people's heads. And based on, this politician's conditioning, he may be the prime minister, so he may see it as a really bad thing. But in 4 years' time, this prime minister, who had a completely different 60 years of his life, has a completely different condition. It doesn't make the thing right and wrong. The thing hasn't changed. The thing is
Yeah.
still what it is.
Yeah.
It's just the good or the bad, the either side of the isness, not in the middle, on the isness, in the directness. There's nothing. There's just
Yeah.
actually everything
Yeah.
already.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, yeah. So yeah, not a lot happens, and it's beautiful because, for example, right, let's do it. Let's drop in. So don't speak, just drop in. You can still remember what you had for dinner yesterday, even though there's no thoughts. Now it's quiet again. You can visualize a plump red strawberry, and then it goes quiet again. And then you can just go silent. You can unlabel whatever is being heard. You can unlabel whatever is being seen. You can watch your thoughts. You don't have to engage with any of it. And that is inner peace. That is an inner joy that there aren't words for, that words break, that, yeah, I don't know, how would you describe that?
It's just brought tears to my eyes, feeling that joy.
Mm.
And
And that
also
is your
that it's there, it's
homeostasis.
just so
That's your
accessible.
homeostasis.
Yeah.
Pardon, what did you
That,
say?
it's just that it is so accessible
I know.
so
Beautiful,
quickly.
isn't it? It's beautiful.
Yeah.
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 And this, Debbie, is why they used to kill all the shaman and witches, because they didn't want you to know this.
Yeah.
All right. But
Yeah.
now you
Thank
see it and feel it, what it is and isn't. You can choose wisely and gracefully, as you always do. But now you can do it with this clarity from this place, not from a story. And you
Yeah.
can gently unpick the drama because it's pointless. You can tell how conscious one is by how many people in their life they're in conflict with. It's as simple as that. And by
Yeah.
how much words comes out.
Mm. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Vern. That's been lovely.
Stunning. I'm going to send you this link. Have a look and watch it. All right. And I'd love
Yeah.
you, if you're comfortable, to be open to me sharing it publicly, making it available public, because I think that I don't have any other means, Debbie, to get this message out, because a lot of my work is very private.
Yeah.
I probably release less than 5% of my videos because it's people's brains. They don't want it displayed to the world, and I get that. But what happens over time is as that ego falls away, and they look at the video in 2 months, and they go, I don't give a shit. It's got nothing to do with the isness. You do what you want
Yeah.
with it. I ain't me anymore.
Yeah.
But you have to practice. For busy people, you have to practice. It works for everybody, but for really busy people, the people that you would work with that need coaching, to get them into this place within 2 seconds, it's done. Everything else is just empty.
Yeah. Yeah. Gorgeous. Thank you.
All right. And if you would like to collaborate at some point, No charges, no fees. I just have no other means to share this, apart from the people that already know about it and are looking for it,
Yeah,
you
of
know.
course.
And by looking for it, guess what? They never find it because it already is. They're looking for a different isness, and the seeker never wins. The seeker always dies seeking because it already is what it is seeking. It just can't see and feel it.
Yeah, yes.
Mm.
Very wise.
All right, mate. You be cool.
All right, you take
Love you
care.
loads.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.